The Leafs go 500 on the week, extending their win streak to 4. In fact, this has been the longest win streak since the beginning of the season. Let's just hope it doesn't mean we're cursed for the next month. Welcome to the penalty box. Alright, 4-game week, starting with LA. Leafs win 3-2 against the Los Angeles Kings. And Colby Armstrong returned to the ice for this one, sporting a wicked black eye and a visor that he ditched after the first period. He said it blocked his vision, whatever. Anyway, just under 4 minutes left in the first, Wayne Simmonds opens scoring, who kind of shrugs off enough and drags it past Reimer. Kings up 1-0. A couple minutes into the second, Armstrong with a nice drop pass to Darryl Boyce, heat snipes at top shelf, and the Leafs have tied the game. 34 seconds later, Joey Crabb picks up the puck off the face-off, circles behind the net, feeds it cross ice to Phil Kessel, and boom! Leafs up 2-1. 5 minutes left in the period, the Kings tie it up with Michael Handzus redirecting a shot through Reimer, just trickles over the line. We go into the third, and 5 minutes into the period, in a scramble in front of the Kings net, Nikolai Kulemin picks it up, he buries it, Leafs take the lead 3-2. Then with 2 minutes left in the game, Phaneuf gets called for slashing, and the Kings go on a 6-on-4 power play after pulling their goalie. And they almost score. A shot looks like it's just trickling through Reimer's pads. Raw! Luke Schenn literally jumps in the crease and punches the ice, putting his fist down to stop the puck from crossing the goal line. Never seen a stop like that from a defenseman. And that would be the game. Reimer was playing very well once again, stopping 30 out of 32 shots, in spite of the Leafs getting outshot 32-28. How many times have I said that this season? Moving on, Leafs roll into San Jose, where Ron Wilson is looking for a career win 600. Huge milestone. And if the Leafs win, it'll also be their first win against the Sharks since 1997. And this one starts off slow. Scoring opens halfway through the first, Patrick Marleau putting it past Reimer. Sharks are up 1-0. And this marks the third straight game where the Leafs have been scored on first. Moving into the second, well, no scoring happened, but I couldn't talk about this game without talking about Colton Orr's knee-on-knee with Logan Couture. About halfway through the second, Logan Couture is in possession of the puck, moving through the neutral zone. Vicious knee-on-knee with Colton Orr. He had to leave the game while Colton Orr got a 2-minute minor for kneeing. Now, the Sharks were incensed by the hit, but meh. Yeah, it looks like an ugly hit at first, but if you watch a replay, Couture actually tried to get out of the way to avoid getting hit by Orr, and didn't get totally out of the way in time. I mean, Orr wasn't moving, he was coming in square on Couture, he didn't stick his knee out, he did nothing wrong. Just looks kind of like a bad luck accident. Luckily for Couture and the Sharks, and for me because he's on my fantasy hockey team, Couture just had a deep bruise on his knee and was able to return after a game or two. Anyway, Leafs kill off 5 penalties in the second, and Reimer was instrumental once again, coming up with 34 saves through 2 periods. Most of the time, teams don't even get off that many in a game. And yeah, it's become kind of an old story, but I just can't help but be amazed at how amazing Reimer's been since his call-up. I mean, this guy's an AHLer already looking like he could be a full-time NHL starter. Anyway, off into the third, Leafs down by a goal. And it's Phil the Thrill taking a cross-ice pass from Bozak and then waits ages before releasing the puck. Outwaits everybody, including the Sharks netminder, and ties it up 1-1. That's Kessel's 5th goal in his last 4 games. Then on the power play, the Leafs take a lead off a wicked Clark MacArthur backhand. It's 2-1. Then Marleau ties it up on a breakaway, flipping a rebound over Reimer, and it's 2-2. For a slow start, all of a sudden we're in a barn burner. Then about halfway through the third, Phaneuf unleashes a point shot. It's tipped in front of the net by Carl Gunnarsson. It's 3-2. And that's the one that will count the Leafs cruise to their 4th straight, Ron Wilson's 600th career win as an NHL head coach. And funny enough, this win comes in the building where Ron Wilson spent most of his career. He now sits 7th all-time in career wins, with 20 separating him from 6th all-time Brian Murray. And hey, with the way the Leafs have been playing, we could see the Leafs pass him sometime this season. And like I said earlier, it's also the first time since March 1997 that we managed to beat San Jose. It seems we've been reaching all sorts of milestones with Western teams this season. First time to beat the Canucks in Vancouver since the 70s. First time to beat the Blues at home since 1998. First time to beat the Sharks since 97. Good times. And with that game winner, Carl Gunnarsson gets the second game winner by a D-man this season, the other being by Thomas Kaberle. But unfortunately, that goal has become a source of controversy with the league. Here's the story. In the interviews, a couple of players let slip that Ron Wilson put some money up in the dressing room, a friendly wager of sorts, about $500 or $600 for whoever scored the game-winning goal. But as soon as the league heard of it, they step in and say, violation of the CBA on the cap. They say that Wilson was using a cash incentive to help his team beat the Sharks, and the Leafs are going to be fined. My view of this whole thing, come on, really? I mean, honestly, do you think this thing doesn't happen all the freaking time? I mean, even in interviews, players from around the league have treated it more as a joke. Oh, well, that's the first time I've seen anything like that happen. It just seems like the league is descending further and further into farce with things like this. Well, anyway, the Leafs continue their road trip into Phoenix, but lose 5-1. Not much time to go through all the scoring here, so I'll just give you the rundown. Vrbata opens the scoring in the first. Doan keeps it going with a one-timer early in the third on the power play. Pyatt scores for the Yotes 3 minutes after that. A few minutes after that, Korpikoski scores to put Phoenix up by 4. Colby Armstrong is the only Leaf to score with 4 minutes left in the game. And Yandel adds an empty netter with 41 seconds to go. And this is a rare misstep for Reimer, letting in 4 goals while only facing 20 shots. I guess his hot streak is over? And while it wasn't close at all in the third, things got very heated in the second. First off, Mike Brown is accused of a hit to the head on Jovanovski. Mike Brown delivered a bit of an early hit to Jovanovski, hitting him before the puck got there even though it was very close. No penalty called on the play, but the league reviewed it. He's going to get 3 games suspension. To be honest, it didn't look that bad, especially when you consider that other players have gotten away scot-free for much, much worse this season. I mean, Jovokop was leaning forward, had his head way down chasing the puck, and when you play hockey, I'm sorry, but you gotta keep your head up. It used to be in this league that when you were hit with your head down, it was your own fault. And near the end of the second, things get heated again. After a Leaf scoring chance, MacArthur is whistled for holding the stick behind the net, and after the play, a scrum ensues. MacArthur and Lauri Korpikoski from Phoenix get into it, and MacArthur wrestles him to the ice. That's when Korpikoski does something that's ridiculously dangerous. He kicks MacArthur in the head with his skate. Nothing is called, MacArthur gets a penalty, and Korpikoski gets away with it. Mike Brown gets 3 games for what looks like a solid, maybe borderline hit, but Korpikoski gets nothing for kicking an unhelmeted dude in the head with a blade attached to his foot. I can't even begin to describe how dangerous it is to kick at someone's face and head with a skate. I'm going to post a link to a video in the underbar of Sabres goalie Clint Malarchuk getting his throat cut by a skate accidentally. That'll tell you all you need to know. Just a warning, this video is not for the squeamish. And the last thing to wrap up about the game, although it's not really about the game, the Leafs land highly sought after free agent from 2 years ago, Fabian Brunstrom. If you'll remember, Brunstrom was a forward from the Swedish Elite League that everyone wanted, subject of a massive bidding war that was eventually won by Dallas. If you don't know much about the Stars, well, Brunstrom bombed. Got 17 goals in his first year, then his play kind of fell off. Wound up in the AHL where he's been languishing. And the Leafs made a trade for him this week, shipping off prospect Mikhail Stefanovic. Now I know a few of you liked Stefanovic, were kind of excited to see what he could do when he got to Toronto. Well, Stefanovic wasn't good enough to crack the Marlies roster this year and had to go back to Russia to play. And Mikhail will undoubtedly make the NHL one day, but he's certainly not our best prospect. And Brunstrom is a guy who is a solid AHLer and has the potential to possibly play in the NHL again someday. How does this affect the Leafs? It doesn't, really, but it makes the Marlies better and they're our best chance for playoff hockey this year anyway. Moving on, the Leafs finish off the week back at home with a 2-1 shootout loss to Calgary. And this game was a tough one to watch, especially because it was a snooze fest throughout most of it. Things didn't get going until halfway through the third, where former Leafs struck first. Nicholas Hagman gets it out front to Matt Stajan, who hammers it home, and the Flames take the lead. This was Matt Stajan's first goal on the road, and he's on pace for a career-worst 6-goal season. It's been a rough one for him. In the final minute of the game, the Leafs were pressing. Clark MacArthur's backhand shot is stopped by Kiprusoff, but Mikhail Grabovski, standing by the side of the net, scoops up the puck and flips it over Kiprusoff to tie the game with 12 seconds left. Nothing happening in overtime, we go to the shootout. Bozak shoots first, goes high glove side, it's in. Rene Bourque up for the Flames, tries to go 5-hole, denied. Phil Kessel tries a similar move, Kiprusoff closes the pads. Tanguay takes a wide turn, shoots it on an angle. Giguère gets a piece, but not all of it. It trickles through. Next up, Colby Armstrong. What? He goes top shelf as well. Perfectly placed top corner. Count it. Alish Kodalik needs to score here. He lifts it over the pad of Giguère. We go to extra shooters. And here comes shootout pro Grabo. But Kiprasov stops him, and it's up to Olli Jokinen to win it for the Flames. Olli Jokinen fakes the shot, fools Giguère, flips it over a sprawling figure, and the Flames win it. The Leafs get 1 point, but not the 2 they were hoping for. What's notable about this game? German Olympian Marcel Mueller saw his first NHL game. He's been playing out his year in the AHL, adjusting his game to the North American style with the goal of finding his way onto the Leaf roster. Mission accomplished! And he played well, obviously didn't score, but played physical, no major mistakes. He's a work in progress. And his call-up means that poor old James Reimer was sent down, an unpopular move in Leafland. Guys, it's unfortunate, but it had to be done. With Mike Brown out with a suspension and Chris Versteeg out with an injury, the Leafs needed an extra forward. And just having Reimer hanging around not playing doesn't make sense. And even though he may be very close for full-time NHL duty, we still have 2 competent goalies. Just keep him playing in the AHL where he'll get more experience. And with Giguère's contract running out, is Reimer close to being ready to be a starting or backup goalie in the NHL? Assuming Giguère doesn't get re-signed. Well, that really remains to be seen, but Reimer, in the few games that he played very, very well for a young goalie getting his first glimpse of NHL action. Anyway, that's it for this week, a very busy one. The Leafs get to rest up for a few days before their next matchup in New York. So, like my fanbook page, follow me on Twitter, subscribe on YouTube, and I'll see you next week.